Today, I'm talking to Mayi de la Vega. She is a Cuban-American real estate powerhouse and the founder and chief executive officer of One Sothebys International Realty, a Sothebys International Realty affiliate and the leading luxury brokerage firm in South Florida. As a true visionary, Mayi founded the firm back in 2008 during the depths of the country's worst economic recession. Under her leadership, the company has flourished to 17 offices and is backed by a global network that spans 22,000 associates in 72 countries and territories. Currently ranked as the top real estate brokerage in Miami and recognized as one of the top 10 highest producing Sothebys International Realty affiliates worldwide, which together produce an annual sales volume of $112 billion. One Sothebys International Realty has become South Florida's true voice of luxury. Mayi and I talk about how to use perseverance and faith to alter your destiny. Thanks for listening to the Jerry Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast was created for real estate agents across the country to come together, sharing ideas to take your, their, and our business to the next level. All right, everybody, it's the Jerry Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we have the renowned Mayi de la Vega in South Florida, the founder and CEO of One Sothebys International Realty. Mayi, welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've always admired what your reach, and you're trying to always get into everybody's mindset and understanding what's moving things in our industry. So congrats to you, and thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for being on the show. All right, everybody. So most of you may have heard the intro that we do once the show's released, but for those of you who haven't, Mayi is an incredible woman. You're going to share a lot more with us, but I just want to share with everybody, she's probably one of the most positive, inspirational leaders in our industry. She runs a company, and you're going to give us better numbers, but One Sothebys is one of the top 10 brokerages of Sothebys International Realty all over the world. You have the top agents in South Florida. You have the best marketing, maybe of any brokerage. It's incredible. And your leadership, it's amazing. I know many agents in your office, they've been on the show, and it's just consistent. And one of the big reasons why she's on the show everybody today is there is a consistent theme of there's no place where you can find this many quality human beings, and there's no place where you can find this kind of support to really be a successful real estate agent. So I want to learn from you how you do it so we can learn more to apply to our own businesses.
Well, that's a big question there.
Well, we're going to ease into this. Don't worry.
Okay.
That's what we're going to cover. But first, tell us a little bit about because in 2008, in the recession, you actually founded, I believe you became One Sothebys at that point. But take us back to your life, kind of how things started and how you evolved into real estate and how it led into where you are today.
Sure. So in 2008, in the midst of the crisis, sometime around July, I started negotiating with Sotheby's International Realty to acquire the franchise for South Florida. And I knew when I started the negotiations that there was an opportunity, a niche in the market for a global brand. And I just felt that. I felt that in my heart. I knew that nobody was really doing those connections internationally. Miami, as you know, is poised, and as is Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach and Vero Beach, and all the markets have a lot of international influx. So at the time, I saw that there was an opportunity, and I get all excited, start negotiating with them, and then boom, we get the big, downward spiral in the financial world, and everything comes to a halt. in September or October of 2008. In the meantime, I'm negotiating with them thinking, okay, I've got to find a way to take this forward. And so in December, it was either do or die. I either did this and pulled, the trigger. And I remember back then, they would ask me, how are you going to make this work? Nobody's really engaging in real estate right now. But I knew that I could do it. And I knew that the brand would support me and was strong enough really to attract a certain type of agent that was really critical to building the agent population that I wanted to create for South Florida. And, I said, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do this. And it's in these moments when things are really difficult that you have to have the courage and the strength and the faith also to say, I can do this. I'm going to do this. And what's the worst that can happen? That we fail. And whenever we fail, we just basically learn even more, so exactly. I was prepared. If I had to fail, I was ready to fail. But I also said, failure is not an option. We're not going to fail because we're going to do this and we're going to do this better. And so I was able to, in that time period, which was really doomsday, pretty much like what we're currently going through now with COVID, with the coronavirus. This is much worse because there's, health implications here. And so we can't even, somebody started comparing and I said, we can't even begin to compare.
No, it's different.
This is global. This is
so many
this is the
factors are
world.
different.
This is, this is so much worse.
Yeah.
But at the time, I just thought, what a great opportunity to embark on a new adventure. I love adventure and I love exploring new opportunities. And this definitely was an opportunity to really explore. And so we opened our doors. We closed with the brand in 2008, opened the doors 2009. And I remember having this big breakfast and thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay for this? This is like, I got to get all these signs and I got to spend on marketing and just acquiring the brand. But you know what? It all came together and really focused and just worked really hard. I don't think there's a whole lot of secrets. Just buckle down and roll up your sleeves and do what you got to do to make things work.
Exactly. And to give everybody a little history, you had a brokerage obviously before that you were merging into the brand.
Yes.
You've been in the business for a long time. Tell us a little bit about, you were an agent before, then you had your own brokerage. Why did you become an agent? How did you become successful? We've got a lot to cover today, but give us a little taste of that. And then we'll fast forward back into Sothebys and how you got through the recession into now.
Sure. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And I thought being a real estate agent, you are your own CEO. I really believe that. You have the ability to do as much business or as little business as you want, and you kind of control your destiny. And so I like that part about the business. I love architecture. I love interior design. I love homes. I love people. I love nature. I love people. And so I thought, why not? Why not, try to get into this business and try to, find my way. And so that's how it all started.
And what year was that?
That was 1993.
Okay.
And when that happened, my kids were still, young. And now my son is, as you know, the president of One Sothebys. So quite a few years. And basically I was really trying to find a career that I could sort of still be a mom and work and still be involved in their lives and taking him to baseball games and my daughter to all, her soccer, whatever she had going on. And so I thought, well, gee, I have a lot of flexibility in real estate, but of course, being a type A personality, before I knew this, it was like, I was like in it. And I was like, okay, I was knee deep in and I was, oh my goodness gracious. So I started selling and I was very successful and lucky that I lived in a great neighborhood. So I started kind of, networking with all of my neighbors and all the friends at at school, my kids' school. So it just kind of evolved and and became a very successful agent. Then I decided that I wanted to have my own small firm, but I knew right away after I took that one step that it was just it wasn't big enough for me. It was just, I couldn't do what I wanted to do because I didn't have the infrastructure. So I didn't have the right website, and I didn't have the right visitors to that website, and investing in that technology would have cost a lot of money. I also knew that Miami was very global, international. And I knew that I needed more. And it was a constant battle because I constantly wanted to do more marketing and more outreach and trying to always reach out to agents in Europe and everywhere in the world. And I always found it was like hard. It was difficult to do this being a small boutique firm. So
what year did you found the small boutique firm that you had?
that was probably 2004, around 2004.
So you quickly caught on to Sothebys in 2008 and started it. You launched it in 2009.
Yeah. It's really funny because the person that had the brand before I did in South Florida, I remember when he was awarded the brand and he purchased the brand for South Florida. And I remember saying to myself, there was this passion and love that I had for the brand, even before I even knew what the brand, I just liked the name. Yeah. And I liked the association with the auction house. So back then I thought to myself, wow, isn't he lucky? I wish I could. Why didn't I think of that? Who could I have called? So I was already dreaming about it even before I had it kind of on my vision board.
You kind of manifested it.
I did. I put it out to the universe. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, I should have thought of that. How did I not think of, calling them? And, they were probably interviewing people at the time. So I knew way before, 5 years before I had it, that I wanted it. And
wow.
And so that's part of the story.
Wow. So things unfolded with the former owner, which opened up an opportunity for you. And in 2009, probably like the worst time. One of the worst times in real estate. We hope this isn't. This is going to release in a couple of weeks. So this is a couple of weeks later. Everybody's listening to this, but we're not sure yet what is going to happen in the industry now. I've got a lot of confidence that it's, this is recorded, so I hesitate to say anything, but I do feel like this is something that we're going to come out of, and it's going to be very different, like you said, from 2009, because that was a much different, there's a lot of things that are very devastating about our current situation, but, the economy isn't in the state it was that caused the recession in 2009 or 2008, really, that it is now. Right. It's a little bit different. So,
right.
Tell us, so 2009, I mean, I love talking to you because I'm like, oh my gosh, like with Mayi, you could just do anything. But and I think a lot of people listening go, well, yeah, sure she did, because she's really smart and she's really pretty and she's really talented. And,
you're too sweet.
And she lived in a nice neighborhood, but that I know.
I didn't always live in a nice neighborhood, by the way. I can share a short story if you'd like me to.
Yeah, please.
So my parents were immigrants. They were refugees that came from Cuba. And I was a little girl then, maybe 3, 4 years old. And we came here with nothing. And we had a car that my father purchased at the time that was $60 that was missing. It didn't have a window. So we used to put plastic on the window so we wouldn't get wet. But before that car, we would walk to the grocery store, and we didn't have enough money to take the bus both ways. So we would take the bus back with the groceries, but we'd walk there. And it was back then, I remember it was November. And I remember being cold, and I remember.
And you were how old?
I was like maybe 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old.
So you remember being cold. And
I remember being cold. I remember the story. They were so vivid. And I remember the pain. I remember the pain in my father's just being taken out of his country and coming here and having to find work in a factory, and going from sitting in my grandmother's house, with, beautiful silver and beautiful china, and everybody was okay, to basically going to live, you know, in a small little duplex, and only having my brother and I would share the bed, the box spring, and the mattress, and not having enough money. I remember, but even back then, I remember playing, and always, like, by you know, fast forward 3-4 years, I was always wanting to. I was an entrepreneur then, because I remember playing house and playing all these little games and telling my dad, oh, would you like to buy a little bit of cafecito, like this little Cuban coffee they used to make? And
Wow.
so, and then I would go and do a lemonade stand. So I worked my way up. Nobody gave me anything. I really did it. You know, I worked my way. I had great parents that supported me, that loved me, and that encouraged me. But it took a lot of hard work and a lot of discipline to get there. So it wasn't that it was, you know, I was a rich girl that was just given this opportunity. And, you know, and then once I did acquire the brand and I was in that, I'm like, okay, now how am I going to make this work from a cash flow perspective? You know, so I was really living, you know, I was really selling then. And the way I did it was I was putting back into my company every dollar I earned. I just, all I did was basically eat and work. That was it. I was just, you know, really, there was nothing else. I was so focused, and I had to sell, and I was selling because I needed to put that money right back into the business to continue to build it and continue to grow. And I remember building my first office in Miami Beach. And, you know, I have a couple agents, a lot of the agents that were with the other company, I'm so grateful, are still with me today. You know, Raymond Boldock, George Uribe, Ralph Arias, Mickey, Albert, like, these are guys that were there with me, and they're still with me today. And I'm so grateful to them. They believed in me, and they believed in the brand. And to this day, I always thank them, because a lot, you know, there was a time, like, I remember that we had this small little office in Coral Gables, and George is such a disciplined guy. He'd come in at 7 a.m. And I remember that I've always been out and about and worked from my car and very mobile in everything. And he was and I said, one day I called him in and I said, you know what, just take my office. He looked at me and said, take your office? I said, take my office. You're here, you drop off your kids, you're here early. You need it more than I do. I can work out of anywhere. And you know what? I look back now and I'm so grateful that they're still with me. Nothing makes me happier than the relationships that I've built with them. And Raymond Bulldog, I mean, he was selling on the beach, and Ralph Arias, and they had no office to go to. And I said, just hang in there. I promise you, I'm going to build out an office, and I'm going to do this. Just hang in there with me. So this is great.
So you talk about, I mean, you were 4 years old and you can remember being hungry and walking to the grocery store and riding a bus back. And these are the stories I love, because I think it's, you know, but I'm a little patriotic, and it's not just patriotism. It's about human life and dignity and opportunity. And you were a kid with nothing, but you came here, and not that here's the only place, but it's a country that allows
country. I'm like, you know,
I'm with you.
I'm very patriotic, and I love our country, and this is my country, and I respect it. I love it. And I just, you know, it's the land of opportunity.
Exactly. And my question is, in doing that, I mean, this is a big one for me, is you had the opportunity to be who you are today. Now, a lot of people have that by being members of this country or being in places that provide that opportunity, which I think this is a pretty big one. How did you, but it takes more than just being here. It takes more than just waking up every day and being alive. You did things like you made really, really hard earned money, and you didn't go, you know, you didn't even, you didn't hoard it. You didn't go spend it on other things. You put it right back into your business. How did you know? Because a lot of people, you know, it's easy to hear and say, but of course that's great. But to think of the reality, if it were that easy, not everybody would do it. You had faith, no fear. I mean, I'm sure there's a sense of fear, but courage might be a better word. Faith, courage, you maintain gratitude, and a sense of loyalty to people and dignity in what you were doing. How did you do that? How did you know? How did you have such faith to come from walking to the grocery store to get food to an office of how many? You think you've got, is it 700 agents?
1,000.
1,000. Okay. I mean, I think 700 was a year ago. So you've got 1,000 agents, the most recognized luxury
Thank you.
brokerage in South Florida and in the country. You're known internationally. How did you have the faith to know day by day? You didn't know where you were going, but you had faith to still do it. You still did it. How did you know? What kept you going?
You know, I think first and foremost, I have to thank my father in many ways for instilling in me all of those characteristics. And that's how he raised me. And he always taught me that the most important thing we had was who we were as people, and that our word and what we told people we were going to do was really the most important thing that we ever had. And you could have all the contracts in the world, but your handshake and your word was sacred. So I think my father really instilled in me a lot of those. And I saw him work hard. I saw him, you know, really be able to, he was a success story. I mean, he came here with nothing, and basically, I think it was in 1992, he sold his business to a Swiss multinational company. And that was just the labor of his hard work. So I had a great mentor. I had someone that I looked up to because he was so good to me in so many ways. He was like the calm in the storm, you know. My mother was more like, you know, exuberant and would, you know, lose it. He was like the calm in the storm all the time. So I think that I learned a lot from him. I learned work ethic. I remember working for him in my early, you know, when I was much younger, and he would make me work harder than anybody else. I'd have to be there before everybody else. I'd have to leave after everybody else. So he really instilled some, you know, great work ethics. And then I also saw by example what he did and how he led his own life. He was a conservative guy, even much later on in life when he made it. And you know, he always lived a simple life. It never went to his head. Yeah. He never lived above his means. He, you know, never drove the car he couldn't drive or had the boat he couldn't have. He was always very, you know, he was very cautious with how he spent his money. And I saw him do that. I'm a little bit more, I tend to ear on a little bit more on the other side, you know.
You and I have that in common. We like to dream and
live. Know, I do like this latest bag and all of that, but no, he taught me a lot of great things. And then I just think, you know, I think that individuals really need to tap into their essence.
Yeah.
And listen to the messages, because there's so many intuitive things that we feel, and we don't give that enough attention. We don't listen. We don't just quiet our minds for a few moments and really stop and listen to what that little inner voice is saying. And a lot of times it just guides us the right way. And so it's a combination. It's, you know, I think some of it is just plain old, you know, emotional intelligence. Knowing,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, just knowing, you know, in certain life situations when you've got to back off and when you can plunge forward and when the timing is right. So it's a combination of so many different things.
So I love what you said about inner voice, because I think there are stages in life where you make decisions and you know it's the wrong thing and your inner voice is telling you, but you did it anyway. And you like, I'll have taglines, like I'll have phases, like one of my taglines, like I say taglines, but from marketing, but in life, I'll look and I'll go, yeah, I was thinking, open your eyes on that one. And this is something when I was in my early 20s. And it was like, in my mind, I played over and over, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes, or I'll have different things. And I've learned to listen to whatever that one message is. Is that what it is for you? What is that for you? I mean, I think it's different for everybody, but
I'm very intuitive, and intuition is a great thing. They call it a sixth sense, or they call it, but I'm very intuitive. And that's because I think I like to listen. I like to listen more than I like to speak or talk or give my opinion. I like to listen to others' opinions, others' ideas, because at the end, if we work as a team, and if you're listening to other people, all you can do really is learn, whatever it is you're learning. So I love, I'm definitely a team player, and I love to listen when others have things to say more than talk about it. So for me, I read a lot of inspirational books. I read, from Edgar Tolle to Louise Hay, like all the ones we all know.
I call him Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how to say it, but whatever it is,
Edgar Tolle, yeah.
love him. Eckhart Tolle. That's probably whatever his name is, from Germany. Brilliant. But yeah.
So I just, Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, Louise Hay, she did a book with Wayne Dyer about living in gratitude. So I really try to surround myself with a lot of positive messaging. And I think that keeps me even keeled and knowing that everything's going to be okay.
So you were, you've overcome a lot in life, and you see, and you can see that now in listening and how you see things. Whatever happens to you, I think for some people, it's natural to just see everything bad. And for you, whether it was, losing your home at 4 years old, your memory of 4 years old, I think, is a lot more vivid than most of ours, because of what you were experiencing and what you went through. But it's not like you're tormented by it. You're inspired by it. But you became a very successful real estate agent, probably pretty quickly, or not pretty quickly. You told us that. And then most people who are really great salespeople are not really great at running a business. But in a couple of decades, you've gone from being a top real estate agent to running one of the biggest, not just brokerages, but luxury brokerages. That, guys, I just keep saying that because that's unusual. That's very special. This isn't just someone who opened a big real estate company and took everybody who wanted a license. This is someone, and I can tell you from being in other companies and knowing people over the country, especially in your market, agents would tell me at one Sothebys, that's the one brokerage where I know that the agents I'm working with, and this is 1,000 agents, I know I'm working with the best. I know that when I do a deal with somebody, they're bringing me a real buyer. I know that I've got the best marketing behind me. So not to keep going, but I want to drive home the importance of the question, and you may not know, but how can you answer this for us? How are you such a great salesperson, and you also can grow and run a company like what you've grown and run? And then I'm going to dig more back into the agent side, because that's what you're growing other agents too, by the way.
Well, I think it's clearly two different skill sets. However, even in running a company, I do have, my degree is I started as an accounting major, and then I switched over to finance and marketing. So I have a good baseline for business, and I helped my father a lot when he was running his business. So I was very instrumental during the growth of his business, helping him on the accounting side and on the people side of the business. So even in running a business, a lot of the decisions that you're making as a CEO you're really looking ahead. You have to have vision, and you've got to be able to anticipate the future or what's coming to the best of your ability. We don't have crystal balls. We can't anticipate, but you can kind of summarize and do that. So yes, I learned in school how to read a financial statement, and for a time there, I played around in the stock market and studied technical analysis and, graphs and things like that. So there's a part of me that likes the business side of it, even though I'm really a people person and a salesperson at heart. That's what I really love. I love people. I love selling. And think about it. If you're bringing a new agent on, or if you're trying to teach an existing agent or someone that you brought on, or someone, what are you really doing? You're selling them. You're selling them on the brand. You're selling them on the tools that you have. And you've got to be able to convey that articulately, clearly, and they have to believe you. And then of course you've got to be able to back it.
And you actually deliver on it.
And deliver on it. So that's very important. So part of building that business, and that business part of it, is also building a great culture for people to feel a part of the organization. And, you know, you can, I mean, I can sit and read our financial statements and, you know, analyze, you know, do projections on where we're going or what we're doing. But a lot of it also is just that gut feeling and knowing what is it that the agents want, what is most important for them, and how am I going to be able to provide that.
And you can do that because you've been an agent.
I've been an agent, so that helps me so much. I'm, you know, I'm in touch with them. I'm still in touch with some of my old clients that I refer out to them. And, you know, and a lot of times they'll say, well, if you're not involved and I'm not doing it, I'm going to another company because I have, you know, my sister that's in this. I said, no, I'll help you. I'll stay involved. I'm just going to let somebody be the lead, but I'll be behind the scenes, just helping you if you need. And I think that's important because I'm in tune with what everybody really wants. And I'm helping somebody else, you know, build it. Obviously through the years, because I do less and less and less and less of it, it's dwindling down.
Yeah.
So
but it keeps you engaged. I think that's so important because you have you truly understand our market, because being an agent, it changes as the economy changes, as technology changes, as everything keeps changing, what it means to be an agent. I've got a friend who was a top agent 15 years ago, and then she stepped back into the businesses and is already doing well. But she's like, I can't believe how different it is. Right. It's a completely different business.
Completely different.
So can you give us, whether it's your own, or I'd love to hear about, because you've seen so many agents and helped them grow their business, what are some examples of, well, how about this? What is the common denominator of successful agents?
I think that they have to have several great skills to be a great agent. They got to want it, first of all, and they have to be willing to work hard. And a lot of people come into the business thinking that they're going to do this part-time, or they're going to help this one person sell a house, and then they're going to, but this is a job that requires tremendous amount of dedication, tremendous amount of focus, tremendous amount of research, market knowledge, people skills, organizational skills. And you need to be able to really connect with people and build a sphere and have a game plan. You know, you've got to take it as a serious job. And so these agents that are out there thinking that I'm going to just do this part-time and I'm going to dibble dabble and come in and out of it. No, you've got to elevate your business. You've got to be part of, you know, every tool that's out there. You've got to make a commitment to try to learn it. One of our biggest struggles with our agents, and we have a lot of them, is we put out so many tools, and I guarantee you that a lot of them don't even know half the tools that we have there. And and the ones that succeed are the ones that really take the time to take it seriously and make the time to educate themselves and elevate themselves, and they're not the norm. So when you sit in front of a seller, he can feel that energy. He knows. And I remember one time I had Mike Ferry come speak to us many, many years ago, maybe like 8 years ago. And he said, you know, a guy flies around in his private plane. He's been so successful. And he says, no matter who I get in front of, I read that script 100 times before I go out there. It takes practice. It takes dedication. It takes, you know, and then personality. You know, some people have the ability to connect easily with others. And this is the single most, for many people, this is the single most important asset that they have. Yeah. You are their trusted advisor. They need to feel that you are solid, that you know what you're doing, that you're going to give them advice on what they should price their home, or if they're buying, what they should be buying at. And to have that, you need market knowledge, you need discipline, you need to know what's going on. And that you can't just pick up one day and You know, there's people that do really well when they're farming neighborhoods because they live there. They know who's lived in that house and has a history for so many years of what's happened in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different skills together. It's not as
love it.
easy as people think, I think.
No, well, I wrote them all down, so I'm going to repeat them for everybody. But I'm like, what's the one common denominator? And you said there were lots of them, but I think that's important because it answers the question of why do like 5% or less of people who get into this business last? Oh, are you okay?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but what you said was number one, desire. Number two, a work ethic and the will to work hard, which are the same thing. Number three, dedication and sheer commitment. Number four, you've got to know your market and learn it and continue to learn it and learn and never quit learning. Number five, I can't read my writing. Sorry, everybody. Seriously.
Be good at your technology.
Organizational. You've got to be organizational. And be good. Yeah. The learning is the technology as well. Just learn whatever it is in your market. That was number four. Number five is be organized. You've got to be organized. You've got to be able to implement. You've got to be able to execute like a CEO. Number six, be able to connect with other people. Connect, feel, you know, or recognize and own whatever level that is that you have. Number seven is you've got to have a sphere. And if you don't have one, build it and be willing to build it and pay attention to it. And number eight, have a business plan and be willing to plan. You've got to plan, you've got to look at your business, you've got to adjust, you've got to be flexible and combine all of those 8 things.
And one last one, very important.
Number 9.
Number 9 should be number 1. Just be really
passionate. Save the best for last. Now go ahead, be
passionate about what you're doing. You got to love what you do every day. You got to wake up. You got to wake up with a smile. You got to write your list of gratitude for that day, what I'm grateful for, and blessed, and feel blessed that you are in a great business, and that if you work hard, there's no limit to the amount of money you can make, and also how many people's lives you can change. Somebody said one day that my calling really wasn't about like the money or anything like that, but it was because I really feel many times that I'm in an industry that I can help shape people's lives. How many people do we know or do as agents that we encounter that are going through a divorce or have lost their job or that, and so you're acting as their counsel, you're helping, you're supporting them, you're embracing them, you're there for them. And this is a really important part of what we do every day. And that you can't ever, I love technology and we're a super techie company, and I, love technology. And that's the future, and that's where we're headed, and that's where we're at, and it's going to even be more. And all of this that we're currently going through is going to change the way we all interact with each other. Yeah,
it's going to strengthen it, really. Yeah.
It's going to strengthen it. So all of that is really, really very important.
But the technology that we have, which I will attest, we have, everybody probably knows listening, I'm with Sothebys. We have some of the best technology. And it's being someone interviewing, I think we're going to be 163, I believe. Sorry if I'm off, everybody, 160, maybe 164 interviews of agents around the country in different companies. The technology is top notch because we can go out to the industry and pick the best of everything, and we put it in we're the best agents picking the best industry. And everybody that's not at Sothebys, this isn't a Sothebys pitch. This is just an experience in our industry. Wherever you are, we have the ability to do that in the time and age that we're in. And I think it's a little bit different. What's best for one agent can be different for another. Exactly. Being able to pull together and pull those things together. But you back to the gratitude, having passion for what you do, and realizing it really just resonated with me is when you're involved in people's lives, you have the opportunity to change their life and to make them better. And I think sometimes our industry could be perceived as so transactional that we forget the value and the opportunity of the value that we can have and instill in other people's lives. There's a lot more there than we often appreciate, realize, or harness.
Absolutely. And in the Larry Kendall Ninja Training course, you learn that, and they talk a lot about that the importance when you have a database, it's more important to connect with a client on a relationship basis and asking them about their hobbies, about their families, about where they are in their lives when you make that call. You don't want to ask them, oh, do you want to sell your house? Or I've got this great client for you.
Exactly.
That really builds, and building those relationships, they've proven over time and time again that all those email blasts that agents are sending continuously, they don't work.
Yeah.
Versus picking up the phone and saying, how are you? How's the family? What's going on in your life? That's so important. So important.
Exactly.
To continue to practice. They may be old fashioned, but it still works. And even if you're a millennial, listen, I have a bunch of millennials that work in my graphic design, and they're so cool, and they're so, and one girl in particular, she's, in her 20s, I found out that she was going through a personal medical situation. And I picked up the phone and I called her. I could have texted her. I could have just sent her a text, with little balloons and get well soon, whatever. And I said, no. I picked up the phone. I called her. Well, you know what? Today, I could read you her text. She wrote to me back. She texted me back. And she said to me, all my tests came back negative. But I can't thank you enough for picking up the phone and calling me.
Even though she texts you back. I love it. But
I
still.
you back, but she thanked me for calling her. And then I followed up. I knew what day she was going to the doctor. I called her and I said, how did it go? What were the results? And, she didn't forget that. She did not, she did text me back, but she didn't forget that. And so even with the millennials, you're thinking that all they care is that texting. Everybody needs the human love, everybody needs
even the
love.
millennials. Yeah, I love it.
You need love. You need that hug. You need that. Now we're sending virtual hugs to everybody.
So on that, I want to cover one more topic with you, and then I always have my final 3 questions. Don't worry, you'll answer them well if you haven't heard them already. But you are known as being a brilliant marketer. What is your secret?
Inspiration. I draw inspiration from all different. I could be skimming through an Architectural Digest magazine or a House Beautiful or Shape magazine or trends that are in the industry and things that are happening. And because I've been an agent, I know what the agents need and want. And for the most part, and I always ask the question. And I think that also Sothebys International Realty inspires me. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day when I went, I remember looking at all the collateral. They used to do a lot of print back then and thinking, oh my gosh, this is right up my alley. So I do have a sense of aesthetic. I think I wish I would have been like an interior designer / architect in another life, because I'm so, I love looking at beautiful things, and whether it's fashion or whether it's etiquette or whether are, trends that are happening. And I get a lot of inspiration from that. And I think that enables me to not just focus on looking at things that other realtors are doing, or other real estate companies are doing. I like to just think outside the box. I'd like to, one time I was working out, and my son and we have this trainer, and we were talking about, gee, wouldn't it be great if we created, all the agents are so stressed, and, we're in all of these negotiations, and sometimes it's difficult to, you have to stay calm to keep both sides, to get the transaction to the closing table. So we need a little bit of meditation, a little bit of breathing. And so we created a new program that's called Breathe as One.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
And so now we're doing a whole series that we're going to be sharing on social media and Facebook and everything. And this coach,
Breathe as One.
Breathe as One.
So is there a link I can get to this to share with everybody?
I'm working on it right now. We started a series of in-person life things. We did yoga for an hour in all the different offices, all the way up to Vero Beach. And you should see the turnout.
And you have 17 offices, right?
Yes, 17, 18, I forget.
I mean, 17 offices. The little 4-year-old who was walking on the street to the grocery store and riding the bus back, who had just been gotten out of Cuba,
Yes.
is now, who had nothing, is now got 1,000 agents, 17 offices, and one of the most renowned CEOs and brokers of a luxury real estate company in the world.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
It's pretty amazing. Okay. So before I tear up, seriously, Breathe is one. I'm going to have to share that with everybody.
It's going to be great. I'm going to share the link with you. You could share it with everyone that you want. And it's just going to be messaging throughout this difficult period that we're going through. But we started this about 3 months ago in the beginning of the year. And we thought that we would just go, to the different offices and it's a way of showing our gratitude. It's a way of inspiring them. It's a way of making them reflect on the importance of self-care and making sure that they're okay. And it was so well received by everyone. And then at the end of the yoga and at the end of the meditation, we would just sit on the grass where we were. We were in a house that we were selling or in a public space, wherever we found a place to go to. And then we would have a question and, and people would really get into it. It was,
wow,
heartfelt by so many. And so I thought the other day, we got to get this started. And now we're going to do it on social media platform to send messages of hope and send messages of, making sure everybody's well and support and feel supported during this time, a difficult time our country and the world is going through. So as soon as I have those, we just started working on the video series of that to get it out. But as soon as we're able to have contact again, and as soon as we're able to get together, we're going to do that. We're going to start back with that program because I really, really, I love that initiative that we did and we took.
That's incredible. So I want to point something out, everybody. So we started out with you're great at marketing, and then there was the question. Now I'm going to go sidetrack to a recent episode with Kevin Brown. It was about 160, but look up Kevin Brown, everybody. One of his big things in the interview was when you ask someone their strength, they don't know what it is. They'll tell you all these things. And in the meantime, they speak 6 languages and don't bother to mention that. So I was just asking you about marketing. You're like, I love design and I'm really good at pretty things. And I'm thinking, no, you're really good at taking the beautiful and taking the true depth of inspiration and heart and soul and bringing those things into one and expressing those in digital or marketing platforms. But you didn't say that. But you went from like, yeah, we make pretty stuff to, oh, by the way, we're doing this really fun, inspirational thing, because that is your strength, is you know how to pull it together and make it authentic and make it beautiful.
Thank you.
And we got to hear you go through that. So everybody like replay that so you can hear whatever it is she does to actually make it happen.
Thank you. That was very good how you pulled that all together, by the way.
Well, thank you.
And I have a great team too. I have the best graphic designers and they inspire me as well. And we've always had, great people in our marketing department. And I encourage them to be creative and to really try to put things out there that are totally out of the box. So, it's my team inspires me.
Bringing good people together and pulling the best out of them.
Yes.
Okay. You're amazing. So now we're going to do the final 3, even though if I start asking you more questions, I'll go for another hour. Final 3. Number 1, what do you find is your most powerful tool in business? And that is a broad question for a reason, because I like to see what you come up with. For some people, it's a CRM. For some people, it's a script. For some people, it's a way of doing business. For some people, it's a mindset. For some people, it's anything. But what is the one thing that you apply to your business that you couldn't do without, or a powerful tool?
Emotional intelligence.
Define emotional intelligence. What does it mean to you?
It means that if you're getting ready to select a CRM and trying different CRMs out, whether the one your company provides or you're looking at other alternatives, being able to evaluate them and quickly make decisions on which has the best tools intuitively, also based on their merits and based on, all the things that you're looking at. So you're always having to decide, think about it, whether, to your question, is it the CRM? Is it the technology? Is it, picking up the phone and calling that client? It's all of the above. It really is. I'm not sure that there's just one single thing that's so important other than having that ability to know which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then knowing and measuring your success as you go along and saying, okay, this is working. You know what? My CRM is delivering the results that I want, or this marketing piece that I did really reached all the people and I got some great compliments from it. Or, I tell everybody now, let's clean up our databases. Let's make sure that, we use this time wisely for things that we typically either have to farm out to somebody to do, or we don't have the time or energy sometimes to do it. So it's really being able to take all that is in front of us and being able to sort it based on your market, based on who you are, based on what you like and what you feel your clients like.
And prioritize.
And not thinking you have to do it all.
Okay, so I'm going to add a question to the final three, even though I already did two. So now we actually have three more. What is your most important habit in being who you are today and getting you here? Because, we are a result of our habits. What's been yours?
This is broad, but I'm just a worker bee. I'm very disciplined for my work. That comes, I have to say that my work really is right now at this stage of my life, besides my children and my faith and my family. Obviously my family is very important to me because we need that support. Without that, we have nothing. But my work is really my priority. There's no hobby that I like more because see, I love what I do.
Yeah.
So that being able to do what I do every day, boy, am I lucky or what? Like I get to express myself in so many ways. Like I get to be creative and I get to meet people. And I think the most important thing I've done also is leveraging the assets of the brand. And what I mean by assets, it's not only the tools they provide, but really the people that are in this brand, the friends that I've made and the relationships that I've created. And this could apply with Sothebys and it could be with another company that it doesn't matter. But being able to travel and meet these people and have relationships with them, for me, that is the most important thing that I think I've done and I've accomplished. And when India opened its doors, here I got on a plane and went 24 hours or I don't know how many hours I was in a plane to go welcome them. And when Hong Kong opened, I did that. But guess what? When there was a hurricane, their CEO and their agents were emailing me and saying, are you okay? Are you guys okay? And then when Bahamas was hit just recently, we emailed Nick Damianos and we raised over $1 million for them through all of these different things that we had going on in South Florida, not only through One Sotheby's, but also, other people that were raising money. And so that part is really what is really the most important part. These are my friends. These are people that it's my sphere. It's the people I love. And from Ty Stockton to, Greg and Stacy Jones and everybody in this network is just people that I truly love. And that is, I think, the most important thing I've done, being a part of this. Has allowed me to grow and connecting with all these people.
Authentically connecting.
Authentically. A lot of times, it doesn't matter if they send me referrals or not. Everybody finds their own referrals. It's being their friends is really what moves me and what really makes me happy.
Exactly. When it's authentic, everything else just comes naturally. All of the stuff that you would have otherwise worried about or thought you should worry about comes so naturally.
Absolutely.
Okay. So next question. This is a really good one for you. We've got two more.
Okay.
The next one is a really great one to ask you. because lately I've gotten a lot of people who don't read. Like, really? Are you kidding me? No. What do you find is the one book, if you were going to tell us to read, what is the one book you would recommend of all books? Or let's just say the one that's most
turn
impactful.
around and show you my home office. It's full of books. It's from like, it goes from like ninja to art to Great Houses of Havana to, you know, Annie Leibovitz, A Photographer's Life from 1990 to 2005. I love all kinds of books, but
Yeah.
there is one book that I recommend to everyone, and it's called The 10 Enduring Laws of Success.
Oh, okay.
And,
I don't think we've gotten that one on the show yet.
And it's someone that typically, she's not an author. She was actually on the first woman on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And her name is Maria Bartiromo.
Okay.
And she wrote this book, and it just really aligns with my philosophy of how to run a business. And some of the things that if you ask me now, I don't know them all by heart, but it's just, you know, empathy, passion, humility. And then she goes on, because she's interviewed Jack Welch, like the most successful businessman in the world. So I love that book. It's an easy read. It's a short read. And then I have, of course, like all of these other, you know, spiritual kind of books, but this book for this audience,
I can't wait to read it. So The 10 Enduring Laws of Success by Maria Bartiromo. Bartiromo.
Mm-hmm. An Italian.
Where's she from?
Italy.
Wow. Okay. Last question. I'm kind of sad. This has been way too much fun.
It has.
If there is...
I was scared, by the way. I'm like, I usually do really bad on these interviews because I freeze, but thank you for making me feel
because you're amazing. You're amazing. And
you.
Everybody needs to know it. All right. So if there's one thing we should take away, because we're just going to forget everything else, which we're not, but if we were, what is the one thing we just absolutely must take away from our conversation today? From you today?
Be courageous, be patient, be consistent, have purpose, and most importantly, believe in yourself. And always never lose faith or hope.
And never lose faith or hope. So be courageous, be patient, be consistent, have purpose, believe in yourself or have faith, and never lose faith, and never lose hope.
Never. Hope is a big word.
You're a big testament, your life is to that.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for an amazing interview today. Mayi de la Vega, everybody. 1 Sothebys International Realty, South Florida.
Thank you. Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.